was one video I was in. I got paid a lot for it, but it didn't come out. It didn't come out because it didn't go well. The first attempt was on me, and it didn't go well.
The MrBeast situation just got worse in the final season of Game of Thrones. Well, that was bad. Do y'all remember Snapchat literally had a filter where you could either choose Team Snow or Team Khaleesi, and neither of them won? This is worse than that. After Dogpack's original video that is now well over 10 million views, he put up a 48-hour timer. Most people did figure he was going to drop another video. It was much anticipated, and Dogpack has released his second video, titled "I Worked for MrBeast. He's a sociopath." My take on this seems to be a lot different than the rest of the internet. The majority of Dogpack's newest 50-minute video is an interview with Jake, who used to work with MrBeast. He's been in several of the videos and is bringing allegations against MrBeast of having a sexual predator on the team, faking videos again, dehumanization, torture. He calls MrBeast a war criminal, and more. So, you know, it's not looking good for MrBeast as this video starts off. Dogpack also starts this video off by confirming there will be a part 3 video coming soon that will directly talk about the sexual allegations about MrBeast and how he has allegedly tried to cover them up. We will be following up on that as well once that's released, so make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. But as I got into this interview, I personally quickly realized that Jake seems to be a bit off. And he talks about how his dad is in jail for sexual assault on a minor, which definitely affected his childhood. There's a lot to break down in this video, but let's get into what Jake had to say. Jake goes into detail about completely being part of a fake video where they dropped a rock on his car. He was fully aware that they were going to drop a rock on this car and even texted his mom beforehand so that his mom could be aware as well and also fake her reaction. He was paid $10,000 to do this. I'm gonna call it like it is throughout this video, but there's absolutely no evidence of this being done. That is completely just Jake Weddle's word. Then Jake immediately goes into a story about a black man working at the company who was older than Jake and had a kid, and Jake thought it was unfair that they paid Jake more than this man to do the same exact job. Jake went to the man and said they should complain, and the man absolutely did not want to. He didn't want anything to do with this because it does feel like career suicide, and you don't want to get blacklisted, especially in this space of YouTube when you're working for MrBeast, so he'd rather stay quiet. He did give Jake the green light to go ahead and say something though on behalf of both of them, so Jake did, and the next day they were fired and offered severance checks. I used to work as a hiring manager myself, and although Jake may have the huge and biggest heart in this situation with all the right intentions, I don't think he fully understands the situation. It has nothing to do with the color of anyone's skin, but people get hired all the time at different pay rates and can work the same exact job. It all depends on timing of when they were hired, so I do wish Jake gave more detail on that in this situation, because if they were hired like on the same day at the same exact time, then yeah, that's a shitty situation. They should be paid the same. But even if they were hired 3 weeks apart from each other, the pay rates can differ greatly depending on how bad the company needs to hire somebody at that time. If I hire Jake today and the company really needs employees like right now, like when we had COVID, then you're going to be able to offer him more versus 3 weeks later, hey, we need an employee or two, but we don't need them super bad, then the pay rate's going to be offered less. Also, it sounds shitty to say, but on top of that, a company does not want to pay you more, so they're going to try to hire you for as cheap as possible. That's why when you're going through the hiring process trying to get a job, you should always negotiate your pay rate. You always want to go for more, because usually there is some wiggle room that the hiring manager is able to pay you some more. I just want to bring that up because Jake kind of made it like it was only about the color of the skin type of deal, and I just don't think that's the case. It very well could be, but again, no evidence is given in this situation. A lot of this video, I will say, is just Jake's word versus MrBeast. And it was at this point that I started to build my own personal bias about Jake Weddle, given his appearance on camera. Just from watching this interview so far, he absolutely does not seem like the most reliable or trusted source. He could be, but I'm just giving my personal opinion here. There's lack of eye contact, there's nervous movements, there's twitching throughout the videos, and all these are typically indicators of one of three things, or all three. One being deceit, 2 being drugs, or 3, he could just be nervous. I noticed this right off the bat, so my personal opinion was that maybe this isn't the most reliable person to be taking down MrBeast, and with as many views as Dogpack's original video got and all the people that probably reached out to him, I just thought it was a little bit weird that he went with Jake as the person to take down MrBeast and do this interview with.
I grew up poor in North Carolina. I said, excuse me? I'll dance for you if you put that kind of money in my face, sure.
MrBeast did a solitary confinement video that was posted to the MrBeast channel, and that was not the first take of that video. Yes, Jake drops an absolute bomb of news here. The first take was actually with Jake, and it did not go well, per his words. The MrBeast team told Jake it was going to be a 30-day challenge. They told him it's going to be super easy. Come on, Jake, you'll only have to do 25 days. There's going to be ice cream and hot tubs. And then the last 5 days, yeah, they might be a little rough, but you're going to be getting $300,000 if you can make it through these challenges. And Jake is all for it at this point. He needs the money. He's had a harsh upbringing. He does not come from money, and he spent a long time being a part of the MrBeast team, but said that they cut him from the videos a lot of the times. So he was happy to jump on this because this is his one big chance to really show who he is. He likes to do stand-up comedy, so he wanted to put his jokes out there in the videos. He wanted to get recognition in the videos. He wanted the money at the end. So he took the offer. And he starts talking about some of the hardships of the challenge, like the hot tub machine had no filtration, so it stunk really quickly. Within 3 days, it smelled horrible. Same thing with the ice cream machine. If it was on, it was making a super loud noise, and if it was off, it started to stink really bad. One of the biggest complaints he had is that the lights were not turned off during this challenge, so he had sleep deprivation. I see 2 sides to this. It's very, very simple. It's clean cut, and I don't really know why anybody else is not talking about this. Yes, this might be too harsh for a YouTube video. Sleep deprivation is crazy. Not turning the lights off is crazy. Oh, the stinky smell is bad. This is a 30-day challenge for $300,000. And he can leave when he wants to. How is nobody else talking about that? Everybody's like, poor Jake, poor Jake, poor Jake. Don't get me wrong. I think there are some things that we're going to talk about in this video that were done wrong to Jake. There's things that MrBeast has done wrong. But complaining about smells and the lights not being turned off when you can walk out of the room at any time and you're staying because you want to win $300,000, then you shouldn't be complaining about it. You stayed. Then this point completely ties into what I was saying about Jake. Maybe he's being a little frantic or a little scatterbrained or whatever it may be. He's talking about one thing and then completely out of the middle of nowhere switched topics and brings up his own father.
I was not having a good time, but we were filming a video. So I was trying my best to be funny, you know. I'm a dark comic, you know. I got bits about. I had a very traumatic life. I have my dad is in jail for sexual assault of a minor.
This is when he does tell us that his father is currently in jail for sexual assault on a minor. He talks about how that affected his childhood a little bit. He's had a harsh upbringing. And with everything we've seen about Jake so far in this video, I do feel like this has affected him a lot. I feel sorry for Jake. I really, really do. I think Jake has a huge heart, and you can see it through this video many times. He's cried over a lot of these situations. He cried for getting his friend fired. The guy has a giant heart, but I think he had a seriously hard upbringing, which has greatly affected and impacted his life, and I think he might be a little messed up in the head. Not to say that can't be fixed, but I think Jake severely needs therapy. But he continues about the lights, because the lights was the biggest thing to him. They got to turn the fucking lights off, because his friend literally came over to him and said that this is a war crime to not turn off the lights. In the US, you can't even not turn off the lights to torture somebody. There's one big difference here, people. This is a game show. You can walk away whenever you want. Then Jake talks about another one of the challenges MrBeast gave him. At this point, Jake said he could barely do the games anymore because of the lights not being turned off. He couldn't sleep at all. I think he didn't say this, but it sounds very much like he was going a bit crazy at this point. And then MrBeast comes in and tells him to run a marathon on the treadmill in the room. Jake explains to Dogpack that he did not want to run this marathon. Dogpack asked Jake, "Did you ask to leave or say you wanted to leave?" Jake says he did not and ran the marathon to be a good sport. I'm calling it like it is here, people. He wanted the money. He stayed in the game to get the money. If he really couldn't do it anymore, if he felt like he was being tortured as he's portraying in this video, he would have walked away. He didn't even ask to leave. He didn't even attempt to leave. The only thing he attempted to do was run the marathon for money. And I would have too. Shit, $300,000. Shit. I'd get on a treadmill, sleep deprived, and run a freaking marathon, or at least try to run a marathon for $300,000 in 30 days. I'd do a lot of things for $300,000. And there's nothing wrong for him wanting to compete for the $300,000 whatsoever. I think he should be. My problem is that he's now complaining about it. He's complaining about funky smells or running a marathon or this or that or blah, blah, blah. But he stayed on his own willingness because he wanted to win the money. So I don't think he should be complaining about it. Jake leaves the challenge at this point. He cannot complete the marathon. He quit. He's out. He's done. And now he talks about that he's upset at the Beast team for, in my opinion, doing all the right things. The official psych evaluation team would not let Jake leave because he's in a terrible mental state at this point. He was sleep deprived. He's going crazy. He talks about it himself. Why would they put somebody like that out in the streets? No, they wanted to keep him there to make sure he was safe to himself and to the public. This is literally what happens in everyday real life as well. If somebody is crazy or goes and sees a therapist and the therapist thinks you're crazy, then they put you in a psych eval spot until you're better, until somebody can make sure you're better. They want to watch over you again to keep you and the public safe. And then he keeps coming back to the lights. The lights was his biggest thing for sure. Jake did not like one bit that they wouldn't turn the lights off for this challenge. And then he makes a comment and he's like, yeah, after I quit the challenge, then they turned the lights off. Come on. No shit, dude. The challenge is over. Then, people, the audacity here. I can't believe that everybody on the internet is saying, cancel MrBeast, cancel MrBeast. It's the same shit we saw in episode 1. It's easy to get views off of this. The public just wants to cancel somebody. Everybody just likes drama. It's the biggest person on YouTube. It's an easy target. This part blew my fucking mind. I don't know how nobody is talking about this. He complains that MrBeast walked over to him and checked up on him. All the things he's complaining about are the MrBeast team and MrBeast himself doing the right things. His complaint here was that MrBeast was fake. Again, for the billionth time that we see MrBeast doing something wrong in this, there's no evidence of it. It is only Jake's word. Provide some evidence. If you want to cancel the biggest YouTuber, I'm going to be honest, I expect some evidence here. I'm not taking one person's word versus one person's word and throwing somebody on a pitchfork. We need evidence. And his evidence here is it seemed fake when MrBeast was asking if I'm okay and checking up on me and making sure I'm good after the challenge. Dude, those are all the right things that should be happening in this given situation. That's what should be happening. Then he complains that MrBeast paid him over $100,000 for the days he did complete in this challenge. He complains about that. This video never dropped on the MrBeast channel because it sounds like a lot of the clips were unusable because Jake was going crazy in there. They said some of the scenes were horrific to watch, yet MrBeast did the right thing and gave him the money he earned in those days. Then this was the icing on the cake, people. This was the cherry on top right here. This was chef's kiss. He acts like that money wasn't enough because of taxes, and Jake himself went out and spent all the money on pursuing his stand-up career. And because of his choices with his own money, over $100,000, even after taxes, it would have been like $50,000 to $60,000. He spent that on his own choices and complains about it. Is no one seeing that this is actually fucking bazonkers? Bro is complaining about Beast checking up on him, making sure he's okay. This psych team checking up on him, paying him over $100,000 for the days he did complete. He's complaining about challenges when he signed up to be in a challenge for 30 days to win $300,000. Bro, this seems like 1 + 1 = 2. I can't believe this was the second exposed video of MrBeast. The interview process with Jake basically comes to an end, but then Dogpack starts showing some text on the screen. And there is some stuff in here that I agree with Jake on. Like, the challenges may be too tough. They may be dehumanizing. Or a whole marathon shouldn't be a mini challenge for only a short clip of content. But also, Jake could have left at any time. And honestly, these are the two primary vibes I get from these texts. And this is just my personal opinion. One, from the text that were on screen, it seems like Jake is being very, very smart with his choice of words, and it gives me the feels that he's setting up a case to sue MrBeast. Or the second option that I think may be happening here is that Jake was already very mentally unstable before this challenge, and this challenge could have made it worse, or this challenge could have had no effect. But either way, I think Jake's harsh upbringing has greatly impacted his life, and I just don't think he was in the right mental state for this. Now, Dogpack knows that most of this video can be argued. With one single argument, you can argue against this entire video and interview by saying Jake could have just left the challenge. So Dogpack then shows an internal document from MrBeast's team that reads, "No literally doesn't mean shit." And he reads a little bit of that paragraph and basically is alleging that the MrBeast team trained you to not take no. I personally have a very hard time believing that this document is real or exists whatsoever, because as you can see in his video, once again, no evidence. I could have wrote this up and put this in a video. There's no sources for this document. There's no evidence. There's no evidence, people. So is MrBeast a sociopath? As of right now, I just don't think so. But that's not to say that Jake didn't make good points throughout this video. I do think MrBeast is controlling to a degree. I do think he is laser focused on doing whatever it takes necessary to be the biggest YouTuber in the world. I do think he pushed Jake too hard in this video. Even though Jake could have walked away whenever he wanted, I don't think he should have been pushed that hard to begin with. We'll see once part 3 comes out, but MrBeast might have a sexual predator on his team, and more information about that predator. Apparently, acts were done to a minor from the ages 1 to 11, and apparently, allegedly, MrBeast has tried to cover this up. So we'll see more on that, but MrBeast is not in the clear. I'm just saying Jake Weddle seems to have a great heart, but overall, there is no evidence of any of this stuff given. It was just Jake's word versus MrBeast. When we're looking at it from that perspective of the word of one person versus the word of another, it's very hard to believe everything that Jake is saying when he seems unstable. And that is not his fault. I'm not saying that's his fault. He just had a harsh upbringing, and I think he probably needs help or needs to talk to somebody. The biggest thing in this 50-minute video was that Jake did a challenge and was treated wrongly, but he could have just walked away at any point. And he didn't. Feel free to let me know what y'all think about it in the comments of this video. And right when we have more info, I will follow up with another video. Appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.